All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking to an individual competing at the August 9th BKFC Fight Night event, which transpires in Edmonton. And a very intriguing fight with Skyler Mauller taking on Adam Freitas, and great having Adam back on Bare Knuckle Bowker today. How's your day going so far there, Adam?
Good, man. Good. Had a low-key day. Did some pad work this morning, and then I kind of just rest a little bit today, and then I got some sparring later tonight. So living that pro fighter's life a little bit today.
Yeah, it seems like Club Mafa is a big spot. I saw some pad work with Muay Thai champ Eric Roca fairly recently.
Yeah, I get a lot of my. I do train with Raf Delgado for my boxing. We're at a Huff gym right now. I get a lot of work in there too, but I try to be mindful of the fact that bare knuckle different. There's clinch, so I like to get in with my family at Mafa and get Muay Thai clinch in and work with some of those guys too. Just to add that to my game.
Yeah, and it must be, I guess, exciting. I guess I'm presuming that in a certain sense, just in terms of getting back to it after what I think many people, I think understandably, described as a controversial stoppage in your last outing at BKFC Philly, and you're back at the River Cree here where you fought bare knuckle before. So can you kind of speak to some of those aspects I just outlined?
Yeah, I wasn't happy either. I try to take ownership of my shit. So, as a fighter, it's on me not to get hit. I know everyone says as a pro I should have known to take my knee and kind of get the standing or get the 8 count, but being an MMA guy, you try to recover as fast as possible. And I try to tell everyone I was flash knocked out, but I stood up fast because I was fine. I was back. I was ready to go. Not a fan of that ref. I know he did the same thing in the UFC the following weekend, but in the end, it's on me for getting caught. And I just got to not let that shit happen again.
Yeah, I do recall you posting something about that. I can't remember which fight this referee had also officiated, but I do remember you referencing that at the time that it happened. And yeah, there was other people talking about that other controversial call from that referee. But yeah, I don't recall what fight that was, but I do remember that incident.
I know DC and Joe Rogan were commentating, and my phone blew up with people going, "This is the same ref," and he literally did essentially the same thing. I get being a ref's a tough job, so I try not to have animosity towards it. I try to take it personally. I'm sure he's a great dude. Seemed like he's a little afraid of violence once it gets a little too hairy in there, but his job is to protect me, and it's my job not to get hit. So I just gotta, pardon the pun, but take it on the chin and not let it happen again, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't think it was definitely, I would say, not the best stoppage. I was good to go still. And I do feel like I wasn't that far ahead because it was only in the second round, but I feel like I was winning. I was giving that guy problems, especially moving up a weight class, and the odds were stacked against me, but I felt like I was doing well before that.
Yeah, and I was going to ask about that because as much as the outcome had that air of controversy around it, as we just talked about, it seems like, relative to, I guess, my perspective, I would think there would be some takeaways from that Maurice Horne performance, just in as far as, like, what you outlined, just even though it was ultimately in the second round, like, up until that point, it did seem like you were very much winning the bulk of the exchanges in that fight. So even though there was, I guess, that air of controversy and etc., is there a certain set of takeaways from that particular fight in March?
Yeah, I've always, you've been helping me with my career a while, so I'm an MMA guy. More specifically, I've always been known as a jiu-jitsu guy, but I've really tried to take pride and ownership of my striking over the last few years and trying to prove to people that I can, I'm not just that jiu-jitsu guy. I felt like I was doing well. I was fighting a longer southpaw, and this guy's only experience was pro boxing, and I felt I was going in there and I was the better boxer. I was smaller. I had, like I said, I had everything stacked against me. I still felt my skill set alone and my power was beating him. So if I took anything away, minus the fact, don't let the ref get involved, don't let the judges get involved. I can hang with these guys, man. I feel like I can stand with anybody. And he was a test for me. I moved up a weight class. He was like 6'1", 6'2". It's the first time I've ever fought a heavier guy, fought a taller guy, and fought a pure boxer in essentially a pure boxing fight. And I was winning until I wasn't. So I know I lost that fight, but I took some pride away with it. I took some good quality things with it from that fight.
Yeah, and obviously a lot to talk about with this fight, but I guess in the context of the last one, I feel like I'd be remiss if I didn't get your thoughts on, I guess, just what it was like fighting at a venue like the 2300 Arena, a space where I guess like the older school kind of wrestling nerds would know as the ECW Arena, and also very popular, I guess, prominent venue within the broader Pennsylvania boxing club circuit. So I guess in that sense, what was it like, I guess, competing in a venue like that, I guess presuming that there's a certain something attached to that type of thing for you?
Well, believe it or not, I've actually fought in Philly before. I fought CFFC in the exact same venue, so I've actually fought in that venue before. BKFC is a cool atmosphere, man. I gotta say, you get to work with a bunch of different fight promotions, and BKFC is doing it well. My interactions with them have been great. Fighting in that arena was great. They got you pumped up. Maybe it's the current politics going on, but it's the first time in my life I've ever been booed coming out. I don't know if it's the Canada thing going on with Trump and all our politics going on. But once the fight was over, I went into the crowd and had a drink or two, and everyone was showing me love. So it was kind of the opposite once I was actually out there. But it's definitely a fight city, man. They love their fighters there. And mine is getting booed a little bit coming out. I got a lot of love from everybody after the fight.
Yeah, I even did kind of pick up on that too. Like, it wasn't the same thing as you. It wasn't quite like assured that that was what was going on, but I was actually ringside for that card, and yeah, it seemed like there was like a little bit of that going on. I kind of gave like a couple quizzical looks to some people around me and say, what are you booing this guy for? Like, he literally hasn't done anything other than, the offense of being Canadian, I suppose. But yeah.
I mean, not that I expected it, but it is what it is. Like I said, it wasn't overpowering or anything. It wasn't like crazy. Like, I didn't feel the whole room crash on me when I heard a few boos. But like I said, I got, as soon as the fight was over and I walked out, Horne's corner was there. All of his buddies were there. A lot of people were coming up to me. They appreciated, even though I lost, I almost knocked him out in the first, and he tried to rush me right after, and I put him right back on his feet, and I wasn't afraid to engage with him. So, like I said, it's a fight city, and they respect fighters. So I did get a lot of love after the fight when I was out. It was just a few boos. It kind of caught me off guard a little bit because I'm not used to being booed. I try not to be the bad guy or the heel or anything like that. So it was a little weird, but like I said, it was minuscule compared to what it could have been, and I got love right after, so it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. I did also notice that piece as well. Definitely endeared yourself to the crowd with the quality of your performance. And I guess I was mentioning earlier the, I guess, relatively quick turnaround here and stuff like that. I guess I thought to mention that too in the context of some of your past BKFC cancellations too, like the, I guess, card last August and then the February BKFC on DAZN 4 card. Like, obviously extenuating circumstances attached to that, but only bring it up to say it's probably, I guess, exciting for you to get a more regular, consistent rate of work and stuff like that, and more consistent traction with BKFC, just considering those bout cancellations I mentioned.
I mean, yeah, you talk to any fighters in the game, and any of them that know me, they know I might have some of the worst fucking luck when it comes to having fights come through, and it's 95% of the time it's not my fault. I've had probably my whole career 2 injuries where I've had to pull out of a fight, and it took my coaches basically telling me you're not fucking fighting for me to actually back out. The one that backed out with Castriot or whatever, that like I said, I don't like to talk shit about guys, but that guy was a complete tool. I don't think he planned on fighting for about a month or 2 months beforehand, but he wanted all the clout of all the podcasts he was doing. So it ended up being him messaging me, hey man, can we bump this up 10 pounds? Hey, can we bump this up 15 pounds? Then he literally wanted me to bump it up 20 pounds. And I said, you know what? Put the money where your mouth is and we'll do it. And they offered the money, and it was going to be a giant payday. And then literally hours before we were hopping on the plane, he told the promoters he had COVID. So he played a lot of games. That hurt me a lot. But I'm trying to stay. I'm 37 years old, man. I'm under no illusions of what I am. I'm a decent fighter. I got very limited time, and I don't have time to build my record fighting, easy fights or give me fights. So right now I'm just taking whatever I can get and just trying to prove that I'm a quality fighter and get something going. I don't have much time left, 37 years old, if I'm being honest with myself. So that's what it is. And I told BKFC, get me something right away. and I'm going to go like that unless I'm injured or the family tells me they're sick of me getting hit in the head.
Yeah, I was gonna say I get what you mean in terms of I guess navigating the remaining chapters of your story. But I mean, didn't you hear Usyk in the ring over the weekend? He was talking about how 38 is still young. 38's just the start, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they can say that, but when you're fighting guys half your age and, the health problems and age is a factor, and you can turn age into something positive with experience and stuff like that. But fighting is certainly a young man's game, and you can count on one hand the guys that at the highest level have been able to do it into their late 30s and 40s, and those guys are specimens. But I'm still in there with young guys. I'm keeping up. I know I'm on a 2-fight skid, but those 2 fights, I didn't go in there and underperform. I didn't go in there and feel slow. I didn't feel old. I felt like I was giving these guys a go. So if I'm ever going to walk away from this, I got to walk out on my own terms. And my own terms is my body telling me I can't do it. And right now, my body's not telling me that. My body's telling me I can keep up with these guys. And I'm showing it. I'm showing it not just in the training room, but in my fights, my last 2 fights. I know they're 2 losses, but I was winning. I was looking good. I might even look better as a bare knuckle boxer than I did ever as an MMA fighter. So who knows, man?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely competed in very high levels in, multiple combat sports at this point and everything like that. I guess I partly thought to mention that because you're talking about just your career progression and, it very much is a young man's game. I was kind of being a little playful there in a sense, but partially brought it up to, I guess, get your thoughts on that victory that Usyk had over the weekend in the Daniel Dubois rematch, presuming you got a chance to kind of catch some of that at all.
I did, but like I said, I won't say it's easy for him to say, but like he's something different, right? There's certain fighters that have an aura about them, and I also feel at heavyweight it's a little different. When you're fighting that big, the power is such a mitigating factor compared to stuff like age and stuff like that, right? When you're getting to the smaller weight classes, and we're talking about lots of movement, lots of volume. I feel like age is a different factor than the heavyweights. You'll never see guys get old and fight lower weight classes. As they get older, they fight heavier weight classes, right? So it is a factor. But again, with Usyk, we're talking about the best guy in the world, right? So he's allowed to bend the rules a bit in terms of age and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I think that also informs partly why Manny Pacquiao's performance over the weekend against Mario Barrios was so incredible, just in that context of like a fighter who's got more miles behind him than in front of him, I suppose you could phrase it, and fighting in a lower weight category ultimately. And even though it was, ruled a draw in the end, I think a lot of people thought Pacquiao should have got the nod in that one. So just very impressive. And yeah,
I got the nod too. I thought Pacquiao should have had the nod.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is one of those curious things. Like, it is disappointing that the, I guess, proper verdict relative to what a lot of people seem to perceive ultimately didn't get dealt out for that fight. But at the same time, people, I think, who follow boxing understand what they see out there. And yeah, just an incredible performance from such a decorated veteran of the game.
Yeah, a vet, and the guys fought everybody, and like I just said, he's fighting at those lower weight classes. So at his age, doing that, I feel like that's a much bigger feat than being a heavyweight fighting at that age. And nothing to take away from the heavyweights. Heavyweights, one wrong move and it's lights out, right? But at that age, at that lower weight classes, the amount of movement and volume and the athletic performance is more guided by, I'd say, age than and the heavier weights, right? So it's certainly, I mean, it's not hard to be impressed by Pacquiao. He's always impressing everybody. But yeah, that was a big deal, man.
Yeah, I do understand the distinction you're making, though. Just a bit of a different meta game, depending on the weight category and everything. But, speaking to your upcoming fight here against Skyler Mauller, I'd be curious to get some of your thoughts and just general assessments on the skill set and resume from what you may have gleaned in preparing for this, because he's coming off of a first round finish at BKFC 75 in June there, and has some prior experience in MMA and gloved boxing as well, and also kickboxing. So yeah, just what are your overall thoughts on the resume and skill set of Skyler Mauller from what you may have seen?
Well, I was actually supposed to fight the guy he knocked out. before, but we had falling outs with getting on that actual card. But yeah, he ended up fighting that. And the guy he knocked out was a pro boxer, man. Really tall. I wouldn't say he had a lot of muscle mass on him, but tall, lanky guys have their own set of problems when you're fighting them. In terms of fight Skyler, I'm not fighting 185 again. I'm dropping back down to 175. And I know I fought at 155 a lot, but for me to make 175 now is a pretty hard cut. Like I have the diet. I'm on a pretty hardcore diet right now. He's sloppy, man. He hits like a train, but he's super sloppy, which actually, if I'm going to be honest with you, makes me a little more nervous. My boxing game, I'm working with a lot of pro boxers and high-level guys, and those guys are very technical. They have a rhythm. You can learn to read them. And this guy, there's no reading him. He's all over the place. His hands are up or down. He changes stances. He crashes into you with his eyes closed, but everything he throws, even if it's just forearms, it's pure power. So that old adage, box a brawler, brawl a boxer, is kind of what you're going to see. If I can be more technical, I might be able to pick him apart. But if he can be extra chaotic, that might be a problem for me. So I'm definitely, you might look at this guy and not respect what you're seeing in terms of technique, but I've got utmost respect for what I'm going against, because he is pure chaos and he's a lot of power. So I got to be careful.
I guess in facing somebody like that, is the approach largely keeping to your refined striking technique as you outlined, but also, I guess, maintaining that certain composure from bell to bell, because you ultimately don't know what your opponent's going to do. There's a certain explosive unpredictability piece. Like, is the composure and the adherence to technique the primary pieces in this fight, in your estimation?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be composed. I definitely won't say I know what he's going to do, but I do know the essence of what he's going to do, and that's going to be chaos and overhands and crashing into me and all that. Yeah, the strategy is to remain calm. I do have a tendency myself, if I start getting touched a bit, to kind of, let my own dog out, and I kind of want to get it back and, fire back. But that'll play right into this guy. If I'm being honest, the strategy is, watch out, weather the storm in the beginning, make sure I don't engage in a all-out brawl with him and give him that chance. And I'm hoping he, from what I can see, he doesn't really pace himself. So if I can, not get clipped with something huge in the first two rounds, I have a feeling I'm going to be able to pick him apart with my jabs and lead hooks and find a home for my cross and make it a fast night. But I certainly have a challenge in front of me. This guy is, like I said, he's power and chaos, which is a dangerous combination. So,
yeah, no, very interesting fight. And I wasn't even intending to ask this per se, but when we were referencing your prior history at the 2300 arena, even prior to March, with that CFFC fight that you had, and we were also talking about, I guess, interacting with certain people in the combat sports world and stuff like that through your own journey. I'd be curious to, I guess, see if there was any insights that, or rather interactions that were had with CM Punk, who does commentary work for CFFC and also, a big professional wrestling superstar nowadays, and etc. Was that someone that you had any level of interaction with through that process with CFFC at all?
Actually, yeah. So, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy I fought. It was really good. We had a great fight. I thought I won. It was a split decision for him. He took me down a lot, but he did nothing on the ground, and I lit him up, dropped him twice, almost had a submission. Even around the ground, I was hitting him with elbows. But I have to respect the fact that if he's on top, even if he's doing nothing, if he's on top, in a lot of judges' eyes, he's winning, right? But I lost a split in Philly, which, you lose a split to the hometown guy, you can kind of walk away thinking you won that fight. But I went backstage. CM Punk did come up. He did say he thought I won. We probably had about a 5-minute conversation. I doubt he even remembers it because it was probably 5-6 years ago. But yeah, he honestly, he seemed pretty cool. He didn't act like this giant character or anything like that. He came up and told me, he thought I won that fight. And it was kind of just like shooting the shit with one of the gym bros. He was pretty laid back and seemed like a pretty humble guy. I don't watch too much wrestling, and I don't know him from his character, but I seem to be a fan, man. I didn't mind the guy. He seemed pretty cool.
No, right on. I guess it just kind of came to mind as you had referenced that CFFC fight, and I guess just for the record, just because you had mentioned it, the opponent that night was Ryan Rizko, that you got the split decision. Yeah.
He was I think he was same team as Eddie Alvarez. and decent boxing, but I was a way better boxer. But it was the wrestling. He kept taking me down, and I made the mistake of thinking, because I'm throwing up submissions and hitting him with elbows off my back, that I didn't have to stand up. And so I get another loss that I still think I won, but I gotta own it, man. I didn't try to stand back up, so I lost a split decision to him. But yeah, I met CM Punk backstage. He was like, yes, a super cool guy. Came up and showed respect to the fighters backstage after. He didn't have to do that, right? So I respect that.
No, I mean, that's cool, man. And you mentioned the fact that your opponent at that juncture in CFFC before was training with Eddie Alvarez. Like, he seems to be in a very interesting spot. I was actually doing an interview with Travis Thompson, who, as of this recording, is fighting on the Friday BKFC Philly card and kind of continuing that series there. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like they've made such big waves out there. Like Eddie Alvarez obviously having that big headlining fight in Philadelphia at Knucklemania 5, and also seems like he's kind of honing the skills of the next guard of bare knuckle training guys like Anthony Pagan, for instance, who secured a victory on that BKFC Philly card in March that you were on. So interesting times for Alvarez as a fighter and I guess coach, from what I can tell, in the bare knuckle world.
It's crazy to see how much bare knuckle's blowing up. And getting to be backstage now with this event, with BKFC specifically, because we're going to be honest, BKFC is the forefront of bare knuckle boxing right now. It's kind of cool seeing that it's still, even though it's one of the oldest sports in the world, it's a new sport. So you're kind of witnessing strategies backstage and guys doing little things that you don't see in MMA, and you're kind of like, man, is that stupid, or what are they doing? Like, it's kind of cool. It's this weird new thing. So you're seeing new strategies backstage for warming up and the way guys talk, and you're seeing way different combat athletes from different walks of life. So you're seeing some crazy shit backstage, man. So we had one guy backstage, the one that got on the card with me that got knocked out in like 3 seconds. He just looked like a Viking and rushed the guy and got knocked. That guy backstage for 3 hours was jumping around, kicking walls. I went up to him. I told him, like, man, is this your first fight? Like, you're going to have an adrenaline dump. You need to chill. And he just couldn't contain himself. And sure enough, he went out there and got blasted in 5 seconds, got knocked out. But at that level, you're seeing a crazy, discrepancy between, like, you're seeing some real dangerous fighters, and then you're just seeing some crazy brawlers. It's pretty chaotic backstage sometimes, man. You get to see some cool, weird stuff you don't usually see in MMA.
Yeah, that must be so exciting to, be a part of something like that, just seeing people kind of figure things out in real time. And I feel like it's such an interesting, I mean, I don't want to call it like a middle ground per se, but it's like there's this sport that has its own fresh, new considerations, and you're getting people from like a boxing mindset, or even MMA fighters, Muay Thai fighters. I mean, even someone like, Kai Stewart, for instance, who mostly had that amateur wrestling base, is doing excellent things in BKFC. So just interesting how people are kind of, I guess, applying their skill sets from all these different realms to this ever-growing new combat sport. It must be exciting for you to be a part of something like that, I would think.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's boxing, but it is a completely different sport. Like, it's as far as I'm concerned, bare knuckle boxing is as different from boxing as MMA is different from boxing. It is a different sport. The training's different. The conditioning's different. And yeah, you get to see guys with wrestling backgrounds that got a chin on them. They're able to go in there and they're able to do work. Muay Thai guys, once they're able to add their clinch game, they can do work. It's exciting. And it's kind of this paradox where it's this new sport, but in all reality, it's one of the oldest combat sports in the world, right? So it's just kind of cool seeing this new development on it. But I get a lot of love for doing the bare knuckle stuff. I mean, people forget that in MMA, you can eat a full-blown shin to the face, you can eat elbows, but for some reason, because it's no gloves, everyone, thinks I'm some crazy monster because I like doing it, and I'm signing up for more. So it's, I don't know, I kind of dig it. I'm kind of glad near the end of the twilight of my career, I get to do bare knuckle boxing, basically the biggest which will essentially be the UFC of bare knuckle boxing, right? So it's kind of cool to be part of that history, especially in Canada. I'll be there's only been two. This will be the second card in Canada. I'll be part of both of them. So it's kind of cool being part of that history.
Yeah, it's absolutely cool to see what they're doing out there in the Enoch area. Like, I know they advertise it as Edmonton, but I guess it's technically Enoch. And yeah, I love the River Cree, great venue for sure. We just got to finally get bare knuckle going in Ontario at some point. Like, I know it took forever to get MMA.
Unfortunately, I know I live here, but I have no faith in Ontario for almost anything combat related. They make everything very difficult. Even MMA to this day, they don't make it easy. We have some of the best fighters in the world, and none of them are getting to the UFC, and it's not because of talent, it's because they don't have the opportunities like these guys in the States have, because there's no events, because the commission makes it so hard. And I don't see in my lifetime Ontario ever sanctioning bare knuckle boxing. I hope I'm wrong, but it seems like they're doing it at the River Cree Casino, making it happen through other commissions and stuff like that. But I wouldn't hold my breath too much for Ontario. As much as I love the province for combat, they don't show too much love.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a difficult time for sure. I mean, yeah, it's difficult to get certain regulatory action happening here. Like, I've referenced this in a few interviews, I guess, but I talked to David Feldman, I guess, a few years ago at this point, and I was like, considering what I know about the regulatory landscape in Canada, I would think that Alberta would be where you guys first go to and stuff like that. And he kind of just smiled and laughed a bit. He didn't really say per se that they would do it, but it was kind of a knowing sort of laugh, I would say. But yeah,
I mean, I'm not part of their business or anything like that, but speaking with my management and being part of this, they have been trying to get something going in Ontario, and they're just hitting roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. Financially, I don't see it being a hit for them. And like I said, if you're dealing with a commission that I truly don't believe they want bare knuckle up here, right? So, I think it'll be in Alberta for a while, and I'm okay with that. They fly us out. I will say BKFC takes care of its guys from my experience, and I don't mind flying out to Edmonton. They're a little bit of their own kind of fight city themselves, and the River Cree's a great venue. The whole casino's great, so it's nice.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I've covered quite a few unified MMA events out of that space and everything, and yeah, great venue, and yeah, it's great to see just any BKFC action in Alberta, and I guess even more of the grassroots bare knuckle action that you're kind of seeing in Canada from leagues like Rumble in the Cage or Havoc FC too.
Yeah, I got offered to fight on Havoc, but I'm under contract with BKFC. But I won't rule anything out. But I'm going to get this win and then see what BKFC has to offer and go from there.
Yeah, no, it's an intriguing fight, man, and it seems like you're in an intriguing spot in your story and whatnot. I guess speaking to someone who's done a few interviews with you over the years, but I also do want to be cognizant of your time and schedule, Adam. So in saying that, do you maybe have a final parting thought you were wanting to add as we're kind of wrapping up? I do appreciate you making the time to appear on Bare Knuckle Bowker today.
Oh no! First of all, I always like to say thanks to you, man. I appreciate there's not too many good quality guys doing media for all of us combat guys up here in Ontario and Canada in general. So I appreciate you always thinking of me for interviews. As for my fight, if you've watched my fights, I always try to make it an actual fight. So I'm not going to lie about this guy. I'm going in there and I'm trying to get the finish. I just got to watch his crazy swings, and I'm going to try to be a sniper on this guy and then move on from there. But right now, all I got in front of me is Skyler, and I'm going to try to put him away. So.
Well, I'll certainly be tuning into BKFC Fight Night Edmonton on August 9th to take in all the action. And again, to reiterate, I really appreciate you making the time to talk ahead of this Skyler Mauller fight. And yeah, no, you enjoy the rest of your day, Adam. All the best with the remainder of your preparations. And, to reiterate once more, thanks for appearing on Bare Knuckle Bowker today.
Oh, no, I appreciate you, brother. And as long as I'm fighting, you ask me for an interview, I'll be on, buddy.
Yeah, no, that sounds great to me, man. Always good getting to chop it up with you and everything like that. So, yeah, no, looking forward to this next one. And like I said, just have a good rest of your day also, man.
You too, brother.